Hey guys, this is today's TypeScript tidbit. I'm going to show you how you can use TypeScript along with Node.js and Express. So what I have right here is just basic package.json, and I created a folder for the source code. This is what I have in the package.json. It's essentially just your dependencies would be the same as if you were doing it in JavaScript, Express, cores, body parser. The dev dependencies, though, are types for Node, Express, cores, and body parser. And then NodeMon for being able to essentially reload your code. It'll make debugging your code in Node.js a lot easier if you've used that. And then TypeScript, of course. So first things first, let's open a new terminal. Say npm install. Now while that's going, I'm just going to talk real quick about this. So we'll have a build, which will just run TSC, which is the TypeScript compiler. We'll compile your code from TypeScript into JavaScript, and then start. And we can actually change this to NodeMon instead of Node, and it should automatically refresh itself. So now, and another thing you can do that will make this next step easier is I have TypeScript installed globally. So you can say, if you haven't done it before, you can say npm install -g for globally TypeScript. Now just make sure you have it installed globally. So then once you can do that, then you can initialize your tsconfig file. Compared to npm init, this one has the dash before it, so don't forget that. And you'll see it's created. So let's look real quick at that. This is, so since we're using Node.js, it can actually natively handle ES 2015 code without Babel or anything like that, or compared to like an older browser, which you would maybe want to target ES5. So the other thing you want to do is say you want to use ES 2015 lib, which is all the things that can come in with 2015. And then the last thing you usually want to change is your out directory. If you don't change this, your JavaScript files will be placed alongside your TypeScript files, and it's a little bit harder to separate the two. Usually, you'll want to create an out directory. I usually just call it dist. That will be where all the TypeScript files get compiled and put into. So that's pretty much all you have to do to get going with your tsconfig file. And like I said, we have these two scripts here, and we installed all our dependencies. So now we can create a new file, and instead of calling it server.js, you can call it server.ts. And then we'll just do our regular Express things. Express. Real quick, if you don't know, with Express, if you're creating an API with Express, and you're essentially passing some sort of JSON body to your endpoint, you'll need body parser to essentially parse that, and then cores if you want to call it from a browser that's not running on the same port or with the same same domain name. Then you have to enable cross-origin resource. So now that we did that, we can create our app, and you get a lot of auto completion and stuff like that with using Express with TypeScript. So then we'll say app.get, and then we can say actually I can say request response, and then you can say it's not too important, but we'll just make one simple endpoint, and then we'll do our app.listen. Let's say I'm port 5000, and if you want to, you can just log Cool, so now we have our basic little app, and if you want to make sure, you can also say app.use cores and app.use body parser. I think they changed it. I think it's body parser.json. Specifically say that you want to parse JSON input. Okay, so now you have your basic application, and it's a TS file, and so natively Node.js can't run TypeScript, so you still have to compile it down into JavaScript, or transpile, if you will. So this is one thing, is if you did have, like I said earlier, if you did have a TypeScript compiler installed globally, you can just type tsc and then it will do it. But it's usually better to, I say always, but usually it's better to have your these dependencies, and don't depend on someone that's cloning your project to have those things installed globally with npm. So that way, this right here, when it's calling tsc, it won't look for the global version, it'll look for the one that's in this node modules that we installed. So if you look node modules all the way down here, it's a lot, but here's your TypeScript dependencies. So it actually installed it. You have it installed globally and then also locally with node modules. So now we should have everything. And what you can do is you can just do like a split terminal, and you can just say npm run build, and that'll start your compilation, and you'll see it created a dist folder with server.js, and this is essentially what it transpiles down to. And then you can also say npm start, and as did I do something wrong? Oh yeah. I'm going to say main is server.js or index.js. I think I'm going to have to restart this whole thing. So there it is. So now it's listening on port 5000. We got the message, and we should be able to create a new window. I'm going to HTTP nodes 1000, and we'll get our response, hello world, which is very simplistic, but that essentially shows how you can use TypeScript with Express. And you know, just so you can remember, there some of the other benefits that you can get with using TypeScript and Express is, say, if you do get like a post, then you can essentially say, if you had a type or a class of user, then you can say so now when you say body dot, you get the first name property. But one thing to remember, that you should always sanitize or validate your input, just to make sure that those properties actually were passed in from the client. So this is more just to get this type completion, but you should still, put an if statement at body.firstName before you do anything, since it's coming from the client. Okay, so that shows you how you can use Node.js and TypeScript. Hopefully that was helpful, and that's today's TypeScript tidbit. Thanks for watching.